If you're looking for a writing program that's fun for kids, easy to use, and doesn't require much prep work, have I got a program for you. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Akiba. I'm a certified teacher turned homeschool mom. Welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over a writing program that you guys recommended to me. My viewers kept saying, check out Night Zookeeper. So I finally reached out to them and I'm so grateful that they agreed to sponsor this video. My girls have absolutely fallen in love with this program. They're obsessed. And in my last video where I showed a little bit of preview of this, you all were saying that your kids recognized it and really love it too. So I know this is going to be a program that the rest of our community will really love. In this video, we're going to go over what I think the merits of the program are as a teacher, how I feel as a parent, and a little bit about how I recommend using this program. First of all, if it's in your budget, I think this program is well worth the money. It's $59.99 per year for one child, which ends up being about $5 per month. It's $77.99 for 2 or 3 kids, and then you get further discounts the more kids you add. You might be saying, how can you justify that? It's still $60. Okay, I don't know about you, but I have a pile of language arts workbooks that are empty. I have been meaning to go over them with my kids, and it's not that the books aren't good and that the curriculum aren't good. It's just that with teaching math and science and reading and being a mom and taking care of the house and running my business, I have not had the time. With Night Zookeeper, the children are learning in 2 ways, by playing and by getting mini lessons in the form of episodes. So there's a lot less work on my end. So overall, I see this program as like my assistant teacher for writing. Writing is a subject just like reading where it needs to be taught, it needs to be modeled. Kids need to see you thinking out loud, you need to write out loud, and then they need to be able to emulate this. It's really hard to emulate a live teacher through a game, and so that's why I say this is kind of like my assistant or like my co-teacher. So I can teach kids kind of like the craft of writing and do maybe 1 writing lesson a week. Then I can hand it over to Night Zookeeper and say, now that I've taught the lesson, I need you to really reinforce it by making them practice writing a lot. I need you to correct their capitalization, make sure they know about punctuation, help them with word choice and vocabulary. So overall, that's kind of how I look at this program. You all know I am all about making sure your children are the best of the best. So I'm not going to tell you, just sit your kids down on here for 2 days a week and they're going to be the best writers ever. No, you do have to put in some of the work teaching the craft of writing, but this is going to make it a lot easier for you to get in that practice. All right, let me tell you why as a teacher I think this program is really good. I'm a teacher and I'm also a writer. And if you are a writer, you know that the most important thing, the number one thing, just like in reading, that you want a child to do when it comes to writing is to love writing. It's really hard to get a child to write if they don't love doing it. And Night Zookeeper, 100% is so much fun, encourages kids to write, gets them excited about writing.
You want to hear my story? Andrea could not believe that she saw a big chocolate fountain. It was the most beautiful chocolate fountain in the night zoo. It looked like it had chocolate water in it. The end.
You wrote that? You wrote that? Oh my goodness, that was very descriptive. And so they get like 1,000 out of 1,000 on making sure that kids love writing. You can definitely see the enthusiasm that the creator has for writing, and it shines through the books, the videos, and all aspects of this program. Secondly, there are a lot of opportunities to practice writing in this program. It's recommended that children write every single day. Just like we say children need to be reading every day, if you really want your child to be the strongest writer, they need to be writing in some form every single day. It's so easy to do this with Night Zookeeper because they have monthly writing competitions, writing prompts. You can see the other kids' work and you can comment on it. They have book reports. They just have so many opportunities in this program to get kids writing. I also love that children receive bite-sized pieces of feedback on their work from actual real live tutors. So you have a couple options. You can give your child feedback, which I highly recommend. And there are also other tutors from Night Zookeeper who give your child feedback. First of all, they always keep it positive, and then they give something like make sure that you have a period at the end of your sentence. Giving kids just 1 or 2 things to work on is so important when you're giving them feedback, especially when they're young writers or reluctant writers, because you don't want to overwhelm them with everything that's wrong on their page. That's one mistake that a lot of people make, and I think it's because we're used to seeing our own essays just like torn apart with like, here's every single mistake you make. When you're teaching children to write, you don't do that. You just focus on one thing for the week or for the day and say, hey, check all your periods today. Hey, check all your capitalizations today. Hey, check all your spellings this week. Oh my goodness, I should have said this one first. Rigor. This program is so rigorous. I have noticed a lot of vocabulary words that I remind myself like, oh, my kids don't know what that means. I think they know what that means. And I'm looking over their shoulders as they play the game like, you know that. And they're like, no, I really don't. So it's really rigorous. It gets in a lot of extra vocabulary practice. This program is definitely better than some of the other online games I have seen out there. I wasn't really able to explain this in the video, but if you look at this example, you'll see it's pretty obvious the answer is mark. The other answers aren't even close. But if you look at this example from Night Zookeeper, 4th or 4th. Now that's a mistake that kids make a lot, making that sound instead of the sound. So they're really testing their abilities here. Not only is the answer tricky, but it's tricky because it's a common mistake that children make. A couple things though, it is important to note that I believe they're using British or Australian English, and so some of the grammar rules are different here, and some of the spellings are different and the pronunciations. For example, the main character, Rhea, I keep saying that wrong. Her name is Rhea, but we would never pronounce that word as Rhea. We would say Raya. There aren't that many things like that though, so it kind of makes it nominal, but you might notice it. Ooh, maybe my favorite part is that you can actually see what skills the children are progressing on and what skills they need help on. If they score low on something, you can ask them to pull up the challenge so you can see it and work with them. You can also assign them lessons that hit that skill. Do make sure that you sit down and do the lessons with the kids and the games at least for the first couple of weeks, because I realized I saw a bunch of low scores and I was freaking out. So I asked the PA to pull up the game and I realized she just didn't know how to play the game. I do have a couple of wants for this program. I wish that when they went through the lessons and if they get something wrong, they're given a chance to correct their mistake. Now they are able to go back and do that whole lesson again, but I would rather it just be like wrong and like send them back to do the question again right away. Now they do get points if they go through the lesson and get everything right. And so highly motivated children might realize, oh, let me go back and redo the lesson and get those extra 300 points. But some children might not realize it and some might not be motivated enough to redo the lesson. So what I would say is tell them, hey, if you're ever doing a lesson without me and you get like 0 points, go back and do it again so you can gather up your points. I also wish this page were better organized, or they allowed you to search for keywords or tags so you can easily assign work on specific skills. There's no scope or sequence here. They do provide you with a gigantic list of all the things that are taught in the program, which is great, but there's no like methodical way that children are going through the program. It's not like this week you work on verbs, next week you work on adjectives. You can assign it that way, but it makes it kind of difficult when there's just this one page that you have to scroll through. I would also love to see the ability to filter out things that aren't in my kids' age range, because it just kind of makes it difficult for me to find the stuff for lower elementary when I'm scrolling through stuff that's for 8 and up. Okay, now let's talk about how I recommend using this program. First of all, when you are assigning lessons, definitely watch the preview so that you can go over that lesson with your child before you send them to do it. Or if you're short on time, sit down and do the lesson with the child, stopping and making sure they understand everything in the lesson as you go along. Now, it's like a 2 or 3 minute lesson. It won't take that long. If you have a little bit more time, let's say 10 minutes twice a week, I would just do a mini lesson on the subject beforehand. So for example, if the game, the lesson, the episode is about verbs, I would pre-teach verbs, go through that lesson so you don't have to go look for resources on like what a verb is elsewhere. So go through that little couple minute lesson, take some notes, and then teach your child, hey, here's what a verb is, give me some examples, etc. Then go back and allow them to do the lesson. Outside of that lesson, you just let them play, going on their own learning path. Again, there's not really a scope and sequence, so you might have taught verbs, but as they go on to play other games, they're not necessarily playing games just about verbs. They're working on word choice, spelling, opinion, etc. I would also say just encourage them to do a variety of activities. You don't want them just playing the card game, which they love to play a lot. I'll say, look, you've been playing, the games for 30 minutes. Why don't you take 30 minutes and work on the writing? And I haven't had to do that yet because I think the way they progress through the episodes and the games and the stories, they just kind of, for some reason, really want to write. And also how the game works, they are required to do reports, narrative writing, telling stories, opinion essays, etc. So basically, you don't have to worry too much. Just let them progress through the game, but do make sure that you're doing like 1 or 2 lessons with them per week. And finally, do make sure that you're giving your child feedback on their writing at least once a week. If you can do it a couple times a week, that would be great. That way they know that you're also looking at their writing. Overall, I'm really happy with this program, especially because you saw those empty workbook pages. We have not been doing a lot of grammar, and so now my kids are picking up on some objectives that I have not had the time to teach this year. All right, the purchase program and how to buy. So you guys automatically get 50% off of your annual membership plus a 7-day trial. Make sure you use my link so that way they know you came from this video. It truly does help in terms of supporting what we do here on the channel. So that's it. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments section who have already used it. Thank you again for recommending this program to me and to the rest of our viewers out there. This is one I know that you guys will enjoy. Bye!